You need to watch this right away. According to a man who went into a coma and traveled to the year 3906, this is the future of humanity. This features a man's journal that he never meant to be made public. It tells the story of something that he never said out of fear of people not believing him. The author claimed to have lived in the future and returned to his original era, 20th century Central Europe, to write a detailed account explaining exactly what happened during his journey. As we go through his incredibly personal memoir, the reason for secrecy will soon become apparent. Paul Amadeus Dienach predicted the future. But what exactly did he see? Join us as we gradually reveal the truth behind this intriguing tale. What happened to Paul Amadeus Dienach? Swiss-Austrian instructor Paul Amadeus Dienach had a precarious health condition. His mother was an Austrian from Salzburg, and his father was a German-speaking Swiss citizen. Dienach earned a meager living by instructing German and French language classes when he was in Greece. George Papahatsis was one of his students, and Dienach valued him above all the others. According to Papahatsis, Dienach grew up in a small Swiss village after being born in a Zurich neighborhood. Later in life, he pursued humanities courses, particularly with an eye on cultural history and classical philology. It is speculated that he died in the first quarter of 1924 in Athens, Greece, or while traveling back to his hometown through Italy from tuberculosis. Paul Dienach gave Papahatsis his diary, a window into his mind and heart shortly before he passed away. The only direction he gave Papahatsis was that he should utilize the documents to practice his German by translating them into Greek, and Papahatsis complied with his request. When he first started translating, he thought Dienach had written a novel. But soon, he realized the notes were actually his diary. From the future, there is something that needs to be made clear right now. The unusual neurological condition encephalitis lethargica, which causes an immunological response to overloaded neurons, is suspected to have affected Dienach. The peak incidence of this disease in Europe occurred between 1916 and 1924. Those who contracted the illness remained in a coma for extended periods. Those who were less fortunate did not emerge from their comas. Dienach began to have random bouts of drowsiness, lasting anywhere from a few minutes to many days. He would forget all about his dreams the moment he opened his eyes. It happened a full year once more. However, this time, Dienach claimed to have reincarnated into the body of a man named Andreas Northam from the year 3906 AD, when he was in a coma in a Geneva hospital. Dienach believed he would be labeled crazy if he discussed his extraordinary experience with anyone after coming out of his coma, so he kept quiet about it. However, he did record everything he could recall about the future he had seen. He even quit his profession as a teacher near the end of his life so that he could devote more time to writing down everything he could remember. Dienach recounts his interactions with the world and its inhabitants in the year 3906 AD from the perspective and limited understanding of a man living in the 20th century. Dienach had his work cut out for him with this one. He didn't know all their jargon, wasn't up to speed on their technology, and couldn't explain their entire evolutionary history. Dienach recounts how he found himself in the body of an injured man named Andreas Northam in the year 3906, within the context of a hospital stay for Northam's recovery for an accident. Flying automobiles of the future, as Dienach calls them, collided and caused the tragedy. Andreas was astounded by the hospital's cutting-edge equipment and the futuristic style of the doctor's scrubs. Despite this, he was unable to communicate with the doctors and nurses since he did not know the language they used. According to his memoirs, the people of the future were aware of his unusual medical condition, which they referred to as conscious slide, and shared as much information as they could with Dienach about the events of the 21st to the 39th centuries. If Dienach's mind ever returned to his original body and time period, which it did, they thought it would be risky to tell him his immediate future and the future of his era in case it disturbed or altered the path of history and his life, so they didn't tell him the exact story of the 20th century. Even more incredible is the fact that the Dienach awareness controlling Andreas's body knew everything that had happened to him since 1921. According to his admission, the most pressing problems of the 20th and 21st centuries are world wars, lack of respect toward nature, suppression of violence, and excessive consumerism destroying the planet. A new global order dominated politics and economics for a number of years after our current era. The globe then became a more dangerous and impoverished place. Earth had become overpopulated, and thousands of humans had already settled on Mars. However, the Mars colony only survived for 60 years before being wiped out. By the year 2309, nearly all of Europe's inhabitants had been wiped off by a nuclear conflict. The survivors continued to relocate to the southern parts of Europe, where they will begin to repopulate the area. At the turn of the 24th century, a new global government is established, abolishing all nations and incorporating all of Earth's inhabitants into a single unified state. Between Greece and Macedonia, in the Valley of Roses, Dienach witnessed the rebirth of a spiritual force in the year 2894. This spiritual being introduced a new species of human that looked significantly different from our own, as well as a new way of living that was easier and made people happy. Alex Volke, a man from the year 3382, redefined the potential of the human mind via the practice of meditation. By mastering their emotions and the chemicals in their bodies, humans were able to tap into the full potential of their spirit. Dienach acknowledges that there are many additional fantastic details contained within the book. Intriguingly, up to the year 3906, events appear to have unfolded in accordance with the philosophy put forth by Giambattista Vico, 1668 to 1744, who argues that the course of human history is a never-ending cycle of ups and downs. Problems that cause suffering and death are an inevitable part of being human. Humanity constantly needs to redress the harmful activities that cause these crises. Regardless of scientific progress or spiritual enlightenment, human beings will never be truly happy. Deciphering what Dienach claims to have seen in reference to us, Earth, and our evolution can be done by reading his unique personal narration page by page. The original writing's translator, Papa Hatsis, was a close acquaintance of Dienach. He thinks that Dienach's knowledge and understanding led him to the conclusion that these passages weren't made up. It's a genuine paranormal occurrence associated with his life. Perhaps he didn't actually witness or experience all of the events he so vividly describes and presents. Or perhaps he has added his own details. Most of the core ideas in his writings are based on his own personal experiences. He witnessed events that would occur in the future and was witness to a paranormal phenomenon that is extremely rare, but nonetheless real. Because of him, we have at least a rough idea of what will happen on Earth from the late 20th century on up to 3906 AD. If you're still doubtful, consider that renowned author Caroline Leavitt also claimed to have experienced a past life while in a coma. Because of its close relationship to our awareness, dreaming is still mostly a mystery. Perhaps there is much about the human condition that we have yet to discover. Let us know what you think of this in the comments section below.